Alright, Lions fans, so in today's video, we are going to be talking about the NFL draft. Haven't made a Lions video in a very long time, and it feels appropriate now to talk about all of our selections in this video. And just to start it off, I would say that overall, I am pleased with the picks that we decided to make. And, you know, right now, with the position that our division is in right now, it is not the strongest that it has been in previous years. I feel like right now, this division is up for the taking. And you know the saying in the NFL, you know, they say a lot of teams can go from worst to first. And I'm not saying we're going to make the playoffs next year. I'm not saying we're going to beat Green Bay or the Vikings or Chicago or anything like that. But I will say that with the way that our division is right now, the Lions have a chance to really improve and have a much better record than we did last year. And having a draft like this definitely does help that out. But before we continue, please make sure you guys like this video. Today's like goal is 100 likes. I'm gonna bump it down because this is a football video and this is mainly a basketball channel, but I'm bumping it down to 100 likes. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. I mainly drop consistent Pistons content, and I drop a Lions video like once every 4 or 5 months. Now let's get into this video. Play the intro.
Lions, yes, the Detroit Lions have won the Super Bowl.
Okay, so let's start off with Aiden Hutchinson. The Lions ended up taking him at number 2, and the Jaguars decided to pass on him. And as soon as it happened, it was the quickest, the pickest end thing I have ever seen in my entire life. The Lions knew exactly who they wanted to get. I'm sure even if we had the first overall pick, we still would have took Aiden. And I'm happy with this selection. I know a lot of guys actually did want to take Kayvon Thibodeau, but I feel like as of right now, Aiden Hutchinson is the better player. His motor is higher. He gets more pressure on the quarterback. He's more versatile. Now in Kayvon, he's the type of player who you project in the future will become something. But as of right now, the player who is better is Aiden. So between the two of those guys, with the Lions deciding to go with Aiden, I completely understand all the reasonings as to why they would want to pick him. From jump, day one, he's going to come on this team and have an immediate impact. And then quickly, before I move on to our second selection, you know, there are also dudes out there who wanted the Lions to take Malik Willis at one point during the season, or they even wanted Kyle Hamilton, who ended up going to the Baltimore Ravens. And to those two guys, I say this. Malik Willis, no offense to the young man, but he deserved to go in the 3rd round. Just no quarterbacks in this class really stood out to me. And then as far as Kyle Hamilton goes, I'm glad that he's on a team like the Baltimore Ravens. He definitely does fit a team like that with their previous history on defense. And then, you know, something that I kept on mentioning is that we just had this debate a few years ago about should you take this guy at this position. A few years ago, the Lions took Jeff Okudah really high in the draft, a cornerback. The discussion back then was, should you take a cornerback this high in the draft, because that is a position that doesn't necessarily affect the game as much as a lineman would. And it's the same question that I had when it came to Kyle. Do you take him this high in the draft when he's at a position that's not necessarily the most impactful, when you can go out and get someone like Kayvon or Aiden? For me, I just said it was too high to take a guy like Kyle. Now let's move on to our next pick. And I was completely shocked and, you know, taken aback by this pick because I didn't see it happening at all. The Detroit Lions move up in the NFL draft and take Jameson Williams. And I know a lot about Jameson because a lot of my friends actually are Alabama fans. And when I would speak to them about college football, they would talk about him all the time. And before he got that ACL injury in the national championship game, he was widely regarded as the best wide receiver in this class. Now, taking a guy who previously had an injury, that is kind of risky. It appears that the Lions recently have tended to do that pretty often, but at the end of the day, I do like this selection and what he has done as a player, and the way that the Lions are building this offense, I'm really happy with, because let's look at the guys that we have right now. You have a solid overall offensive line when they're healthy. You have at the running back position DeAndre Swift, who is a guy who can also receive and catch passes. Then you have the superstar tight end, one of the best in the NFL, TJ Hawkinson. You have a rising star in Amon-Ra St. Brown. And then you add Jameson Williams right there as well. The offense for the Detroit Lions, the way that we're building this, is looking really solid right now. And I know that Jared Goff is our quarterback, and some people believe that we can only go so far with someone like him at the QB position. But from what I've seen in the NFL, you know, quarterback, it is the most important position, but it doesn't necessarily define if your team will become a Super Bowl contender. If a quarterback is just average but has an elite defense and an elite offense around him, your team can still win a Super Bowl. Now let's move on to Josh. Now I'm not necessarily the hypest on this pick as I am for the other picks that we had in this draft. I will say that I'm going to let Brad Holmes do his job. I'm gonna give this man an opportunity to prove himself until he does something wrong otherwise, because so far in his regime with the Lions, it's looking good right now. But as a Lions fan who's been here for the years and years of losing, I am very skeptical when it comes to the guys who run this organization. So when it comes to Brad Holmes, I'm gonna let him do his thing, but I still have my eye on him, and I'm gonna continue to closely monitor what he does. So when it comes to a pick like Josh, I may not be the biggest fan of it, but I can understand where Brad Holmes is coming from, and I'm gonna trust him. And this is a pick where you're trying to build up the trenches. This is a guy who's a pretty good run stopper, and most importantly, extremely versatile. At Kentucky, he played multiple positions. Now let's move on to our safety pick in Kirby. Now Kirby, he is a bit slower than I would like at the safety position, but at the same time, he is a playmaker. This is a guy who I do believe will make a lot of impact for the Lions if he does get the right amount of time to grow. And he is at a position that does need a little bit of work. The safety position for the Lions is definitely an area that we do need to improve on. So picking up Kirby late in the draft, pretty good. And I don't want to make this video too long. And for the rest of the picks, we took a tight end, we took a few linebackers. And I just want to say, to wrap up this video, overall with the draft, I am pleased. We took a few risks here and there, but I'm gonna let Brad Holmes do his job, and I'm pretty hyped. And I'm anticipating next season for the Detroit Lions. So Lions fans, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Like this video, comment on this video, share this video. Thank y'all for 5K, and I'm out.